Good morning, everyone. Well, it may not be morning when you're listening, but that's okay because eggs can be eaten for breakfast, lunch, or dinner. Welcome to Three Eggs Are Better Than One. I am Brad Stanton, and this is the second episode, along with Matt M. and Brian Haremza. We would like to thank everyone for the great feedback from last week's episode. Thank you for the comments. Thank you for the downloads. Thank you for the listens. Just thank you for everything. We think that the show started off in a titanic way, and we are ready to get started on episode two. And what better way to do that than sunny side up? So, Brian, why don't you go ahead and give us your good news of the day?
Good news of the day. Well, it's been a little bit of a tough week for me on my end, kind of doing a little bit of quite a bit of traveling myself. So for me, my sunny side up is just being here, getting the chance to talk to you guys and have a good time and get to relax a little bit. This is kind of my unwinding time and just getting to enjoy the chance to be with you guys. How about you, Brad?
Well, you didn't save that for too much far down the road, did you? Going back to family again for me. Thanksgiving's coming up twice a year. My family lives on the western part of the state of Pennsylvania, and my sister and her husband and nephew live in Ohio. So we celebrate our Christmas, Thanksgiving, and my mom's birthday all around Thanksgiving. We drive down there, and then we see them in the summer as well. So, but this year I wasn't sure because with my son headed to the Marines, my daughter at Pitt, and Kendall just starting a job, we didn't know if we were going to be able to do it. But good news is Kendall was able to get a few days off. Frank is not going until January, and Lotus is home for break. So this might be it. So I'm just really excited, that at least this time that we're all going to be together for the holiday because it's something we all really enjoy. How about you, Matt?
Well, very interesting you say that because my sunny side up good news of the week is it is Christmas season in this house. In fact, as the moment that Halloween was over and we put away our Halloween decorations, my son was eager to get the Christmas stuff out. And even though it was just the very beginning of November, we were into that. So away went Halloween. Pretty much skipped right over Thanksgiving. Not that we really have a lot of Thanksgiving decorations anyway. But we got the tree up, fully decorated, and all the lights up. There's a couple of lights on the inside. I set all my automation services so the lights go on and off just when I want them to, just how I like them, and all the other decorations are out. So we're looking at a nice, healthy 6-7 weeks of Christmas here, which is something we really like to do. What do you guys do for tree? I know people do different things. Some people, they buy a real tree or they wait till closer to Christmas to decorate it. What do you guys do?
We do not buy a real tree anymore. We have one that we bought it, I guess from Walmart. We usually, every time we need one, we buy it the day after Christmas or the week after Christmas. And then we have a nice new one for the next year. We used to do that, but as the kids got older, unfortunately, that went away. Bryant?
Um, I don't do a tree. Um, I don't do a tree here. We have a cat that is very how do I want to put this properly? Destructive, and will knock down anything that we have. So we don't do a tree. So I have like a little fake ceramic tree that's maybe like this tall, and that's our Christmas tree.
All right. So it's not because you hate Jesus or his birthday.
No, not at all. I just have a cat that hates everything that is easy to knock down.
All right.
Hope you guys don't mind. I decided to take the eggs down temporarily. It's a little bright in here. So we're going to go ahead and blur this black background for a little bit. And now we kick it into hard boiled, don't we? So as you guys remember from last week, if you listened, if it's not, if it's your first time, hard boiled is more of a rant and Stanton, something I carried over from a show I previously did. So I don't know if these are really rants or just weird observations, but I have a friend on Facebook recently that was talking about how he got a new job in the kitchen and to come eat his food at his in a new place. So I'm like, I'll check it out. And then I read where it is. Now, I am not insulting the people that work at a place like this. I just don't, before I say it, it is what called the Raven, which is a gentleman's club in the area. I just always think it's really odd to have this extensive menu at one of these kind of places. Because when I go, which hasn't been for a very long time, boy, that is the last thing I am thinking about is having an all-you-can-eat buffet of food when there is a naked woman in front of you. I'm just not interested in that. Okay. I'm there for one reason and one reason only. And I don't think that eating like a cheesesteak while this is going on it just doesn't fit the scene to me. When I picture a gentleman's club, I think of stuff I've seen on TV or previously, and it's just not like something like, hey, pass the salt and pepper, please. No, not interested in going there to eat. Thanks. Second thing is, this year in football, I'm a big football fan. I'm a Philadelphia Eagles fan. We have gone for an excessive amount of fourth downs. 4th and 1, I get it from maybe your 30 or the opponent's 30 or 40 because you're in a position where the punting may not help you. But going for 4th and 3 from your own 30 in the second quarter, down by 3 points, and throwing it to the end zone is a stupid play. Let the kicker kick. What? The Eagles 2 weeks ago went for 3 2-point conversions for absolutely no other reason other than they think they can get it. It's not necessary. We've left 8 points on the board. Okay, kick the field goals, kick the extra points, punt. Punt, punt. You're paying these people. You're paying them. I do like cookies. And as we all
Good
know,
segue. Good
things
segue.
have gone up in price lately. And I was thinking about shortbread cookies. So I was thinking about the brand Lorna Doone. Now, for us old people, it's been around for a very long time. You're not going to believe how much this cost. So for just a regular, it's a bag or a box or like, the of cookies was $7.25. No, it's not happening. I'm not paying $7.25 for shortbread cookies. I mean, even the Girl Scout cookies are less than that, and they've always been considered overpriced. Not to mention those little tins are coming out soon, the Christmas tins that are like $1 at the dollar store. $7.25 for Lorna Doones. Who's buying that? Who's buying that? Blindly buying that? And listen, it's not that you can't afford the $7.25, but it's the value you get with it. Get out of here with that. So I get home yesterday and there's Amazon came. Go figure. It comes every day at my house. And there are 3 crock pots. 3. That is a crazy amount of crock pots ever brought at once. Like, what is this? She goes, well, 2 of them are minis. And there are 2 different boxes though. So they were shipped separately. And then there's this big one. You got them all the same day? Yes. Why? Because we're having a few people over tomorrow night. What does that mean? 3 crock pots for a party of 8. Party of 8.
It's a lot of crock pots. Now, do you not already have a crock pot? Or
I know we have a lot of crock pots. I would say we have 4 crock pots already.
okay.
And I remember one time buying her, she's talking about the dips. I bought her like the whole long thing with the 3 little crock pots. Where's that at? I think, you know what I think it is? I think it's stored away in the garage and it's easier to get it from Amazon right now than to dig up where it is in the garage. That's what I think.
That's fair.
That isn't fair. That isn't fair. There's a shop vac in his house that I haven't been able to get to in 6 years because she says it's just too deep in there. What does that mean? I want to use the shop vac.
Hidden behind a wall of crock pots.
Yes. What you don't know, she's on the black market selling all those crock pots to try to turn some profit for you.
Right.
It's an aggressive amount of crock pots.
I understand. I like what you said though about it was easier to just order it. There was one time where the remote control for the cable box was out of reach. So I just downloaded the app on my phone instead and used that because I didn't have to move.
What do you mean out of reach?
I was laying on the couch and the remote was like across the room or something.
All right, so it didn't fall into like a manhole or anything like that. You just didn't feel like getting it.
I didn't want to get up. So I
And how long did it take to download everything?
I don't know, a minute.
Was it a minute?
I mean, I think you're missing the point. I just didn't want to get up.
Oh, I got the point.
All right. Are we going to hear back next week about what was in all of these crock pots? I didn't know people were allowed to own more than one.
No, we not only do we own. Oh, she's in the room now, by the way.
Yeah.
Not only do we own 3 new crock pots, I know we have at least 4 others.
That's too many.
Anyway, that's it for Hard Boiled for the week. I hope you enjoyed that. Now we're going to kick it over to Bryant for organic eggs. But what is that, Bryant?
It's a little bit of on this day. What's going on? What happened this week? Kind of maybe some historical events, maybe something that's happened or currently going on. For me, I'd like to talk about one that just happened recently. A big day for me is November 5th. And I know what you're saying. Why November 5th? That just seems like an odd day. Well, on November 5th, 1955, Dr. Emmett Brown is hanging a clock in his bathroom, and he slips on his toilet and he hits his head. And in the blur and the haze of hitting his head, he has an image. the flux capacitor. And what is the flux capacitor? It makes time travel possible. Now, I have a hard time remembering my friends' birthdays. I like to joke that sometimes I don't remember important dates in my own life. But for some reason, this one random day in a movie just lives rent free in my brain. And I can tell you anything about it. And that day just is always with me. So I pose this to my fellow eggs here. Is there just a random day? I'm going to exclude, birthdays, children's births, weddings. Is there just a random day, whether it be sports or random movie thing that kind of sticks with you?
Well, March 28th, 1995. And that was the day I got into a fraternity at my college. That was the day we after the weeks and weeks of pledging that I got in. And I remember that very, very well. March 28th, 1995.
All right. What was the fraternity?
Sigma Tau Gamma. It's
Sigma.
called Sig Taus.
No,
They're different everywhere.
I think I could draw the sigma. I don't know if I could draw the other two symbols.
They look like two S's and kind of a half a T.
Dates for me, I don't know. I'm unprepared, so I don't know if I can come up with anything. I do have a very strong autobiographical memory. Maybe not necessarily date related, but like if you mention like a random movie that I saw in like the 90s, I could probably tell you what movie theater I saw it in, and also like which auditorium I saw it in. Like I remember weird things like that.
Yeah.
Which is not what you're looking for here. So
Kind of in that same vein, though. It's that random thing that's just like I don't
yeah,
know why it's stuck there, but that thing is just stuck there for
I
me.
have a very specific I'm not saying that I remember everything, but there are things that if I do remember them, I have a very strong specific memory of them. If it's something that happened to me first person, you know.
Absolutely. Yeah. But yeah, this is gonna just kind of be a little fun segment where we just kind of throw out random historical facts, days, events going on, and sometimes it might just be a random day in a movie that just sticks with you forever. And we're just gonna kind of go with that and carry it around and see what we can come up with. So, Brad,
So what do we got next, huh? How about some poached eggs? That sounds nice. I can have a little poached egg, a little bit of tea, and maybe some shortbread cookies, but I can't afford them. However, poached eggs are memorabilia. Now, as you guys all know, we are wrestling, or we told you but previously we are wrestling fans. However, that's not what this segment necessarily needs to be. So we have memorabilia here today, or just some collector's item that we want to show you. So if you are an audio listener and not watching visually, we do encourage you to go to our YouTube page and just check it out. But Matt, why don't you go ahead and go first? Show us what you brought in to show us today.
All right, so besides wrestling, I am a sports fan. Baseball for sure, Major League Baseball. And
Yankees.
I am what's that?
Yankees, right?
I am a Yankees fan. Sadly, they have just lost the World Series recently. But it was a fun season, and we'll leave it at that. I am not a very big collector. I do have some random items that I think are kind of cool and maybe they're unique. And one of them is this baseball, which I will try to show on camera. And there's a glare, but there it is. And for those just listening, it is a official ball from the 1994 World Series, which is, what is that, 30 years ago?
Who played in that game?
Now, why is that significant? Because there was no 1994 World Series,
Hmm.
because there was a strike. They did play some of the season, and then the MLB Players Association went on strike, and they did not finish the season. They did not play the playoffs of the World Series. I presume they had already produced the balls that were going to be used in the postseason. And this is a Rawlings ball here, it says. And I remember I was given this as a gift. It was either that Christmas in '94 or the following year. I don't know when they like auction these off or whatever. But a family member who would always give me sports related gifts when I was a kid, because I would have been like 12-ish when this happened. That was given to me, and I've always kept it. I thought it was pretty neat. I've never looked it up or anything to see how widely available they might be or if they have any value or anything like that, because I don't, that's not why I have it. I just think it's a really neat thing to have. So that is my poached egg.
So for me, I do have a lot of wrestling t-shirts. I have a lot of wrestling. I have a belt, and I don't have a good display of it. I don't have enough room in this house for this stuff. But one thing I've been collecting since I was a kid is Pez dispensers. So this is what I have this week. And if you guys look a little closely, it is a collection that I've never opened. It is Pez Click and Play, and it is Smurfs edition. And then you can see, if you are watching, that the Pez dispensers are a little different. There's the Smurfs are on top of the actual, I guess the what opens for the Pez dispenser instead of the like the mouth or the neck of the of whoever is the Pez dispenser. So this is like a unique, definitely unique. And who do we have here? We have Papa Smurf, we have Smurfette, we have Brainy Smurf, and we have Clumsy Smurf. This was made a special edition in 2019. I always was a really big Smurf fan. Actually a fan of Hanna-Barbera altogether. Many people have said that the Smurfs represented communism. I think we can just relax a little bit. Okay, I understand that Papa Smurf has a red hat. I understand that everybody had their job. But let's just all enjoy it for what it is. It was just a kid's cartoon, the evil Gargamel and Azrael. But I did think this was a very neat Pez dispenser collection. I don't think too many people have it. And it includes the Smurfs game board, which I'll never see because I'm not opening it.
Yeah, what is the click and play? What does
What's
that
that?
mean? What is the click and play part?
Well, that's it. That's what the game board you put it on here. But I honestly don't know because I've never opened it and there's no directions on the front. Now, it does include brand new sour blue raspberry candy. And as you all know, that comes from the anal glands of some sort of animal, doesn't it? Actually, that's just a rumor, and I can't remember the animal right now, so I'm gonna stop right there. But yes, this was my little collector's piece of the week. You're gonna see a lot of Pez from me on the show, and here's on the back of it here, and that's Clumsy Air sweeping the floor in the front of the little mushroom house. Big Smurf guy, just a nice easy watch for me when I was a kid. So, what do you got, Brian?
Well, for me, I kind of gave away a little bit last week in one of my segments where I am a big Bret Hart fan. I love Bret Hart. I'm a wrestling fan, kind of like we talked about. One of my most favorite possessions and memorabilia is this action figure. It was only released in France as a collector's item out there. What makes it special to me is that I was able to get it autographed by Bret as well at one of the couple of times that I've gotten the chance to meet him. And it made me feel a little more special when I handed him this, and he actually said he's never seen this before, a figure like this before. So to kind of show Bret something that he's never seen, but also have a figure that kind of in the States has never been released either, kind of one of those overseas figures, just makes it kind of cool to me, and kind of one of those rare items that not a lot of people are going to have in their collection around. So for me, that's one of my most favorite items I have in my collection. So
How many times have you met Bret?
I've met him 3 times now,
Hmm.
and each time I try not to cry. So
Now, have you met him more or Trish Stratus more?
Bret more hung out with Trish more.
When you say hung out,
Hung out
details,
with.
please.
So one of the things, I am a member of a Hall of Fame, the TNT Hall of Fame, the Trago Stats Hall of Fame in Waterloo, Iowa. And Trish Stratus was inducted into the Hall of Fame a couple years ago. And somehow, luckily, I was able to help as a member, kind of work with Trish, interact with her, see her, hang out with her at the hotel a little bit, work with her around the event and venue. So it was just kind of one of those cool things that got to just hang out with Trish Stratus for a weekend. So
One thing people say, are you a Beatles guy or are you an Elvis guy? So you're saying you're a Trish guy, not a Lita guy, huh?
yes, 100% Trish. Yes.
That's
Same
good.
for me.
I'm a Lita guy. And back then, no offense, Trish, we're good, okay? But
Yeah.
Lita was so different for her time. That was all. I mean, now
Yes.
everybody looks like Lita, honestly, at least in this town.
Trailblazer.
Yeah, Trailblazer for sure. So, well, thank you, Bryant. Thank you, everybody.
Yes.
That was fun. So now we're gonna get into the deviled eggs. Now, what is deviled eggs? Because we didn't talk about this last week. Deviled eggs is what scares us. Everybody's got their fears. Everybody's got things that that just frighten you to your core. Matt, what the heck scares you, man?
All right, well, I'm taking the easy way out a little bit because I'm going to talk about a movie that scared me. I wouldn't say that it scares me now, but 25 years ago, when it was released in 1999, and I was much younger in high school, it scared me then. And I have a feeling I'm going to take some shrapnel here once I reveal this. But when it came out and I saw it in the theater and I didn't know what was going on, I was truly scared by the Blair Witch Project. The original movie, the whole found footage thing that was kind of new, a little groundbreaking to the genre there. It was an independent film. There was not a lot of media surrounding it until after it came out and really scared the shit out of me. What do you guys think about that movie?
What I liked was the lead up to it. There was actually, I believe that's kind of when the internet was very new-ish. Like not what it obviously not nothing what it is now, but they were releasing clips. You didn't know what was real and what was
Cryptic.
very cryptic. So
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. I'm of course a little older than you gentlemen,
Yeah.
but
A little.
I thought it was well done because you didn't even know what you were really scared of. So
Yeah.
that's what I
It
thought was
was
neat
a
about it.
fear of the unknown. You had to, I mean, you were watching a movie, but you had to question whether or not it was, based on something that really happened or actually footage that was real. I mean, you would never believe that now because of how many times has that been done. But
Yeah, right.
25 years ago, a quarter of a century ago, I think that was a trailblazing situation, and it was really scary.
And definitely a movie they shouldn't have made a sequel to.
Oh God, the sequel was, yeah. Let's not even talk about the sequel. But they were on like the three main actors in the movie. They were on TRL like the next week, and I was like, oh well, that ruined it for me.
What
Yep.
do you
But
got on that, Brian? Anything?
that's my deviled egg.
For me, I'm taking the same approach as Matt here a little bit, and it's a movie I saw at a young age that scarred me so much that I never watched it again until probably about a year ago. When I was a young kid, I saw a horror movie called Leprechaun. And that little leprechaun scared me, scarred me, made me fear so much that it changed my perception a little bit on leprechauns. But that character and how it was portrayed haunted my dreams from a child through teenage years, even to adulthood. I can still say that I had some nightmares. Um, just the way how he murdered people, the actor's portrayal, the image of him just had that look that just would scare the hell out of me. But thankfully, it was having seen Leprechaun Back to the Hood that made me realize that it was more of a comedy than it was horror. It was horror, but comedy. And it made me embarrassed to know that, not embarrassed, but a little off that he scared me so much as a kid. But I digress. Thankfully, I've gotten over it and have been able to move on now. So,
Usually I don't end these segments, but I wanted to end it now because I knew mine was going to be the real one here. When it came to this, uh, gonna get a little real on this one. What really scares me, and it's more recently, is my phone ringing. Now you say, what do you mean by that? Well, in the world we live in now, if anybody needs anything, they just text you, right? Nothing serious, they just text you. No one calls you for any reason. So when my phone rings and I see that it's my wife, my daughters, or my son, my parents, my sister, my aunt, anybody, on an off time where I'm not expecting them, what do you think? I think something's wrong. And I answer the phone and say, what's wrong? Still, luckily, most of the time, it's not anything wrong, but it makes my heart beat because it has been. My daughter was in a car accident twice. My other daughter was in a car accident twice. My son's problem on the way home. My house caught on fire. My dad had a heart attack. My cousin, had a bad accident surfing. Like, I mean, I just these phone calls, man. They just in a world where you don't call anybody anymore. Nothing scares me more than my phone ringing at a weird time of the day, like at 4:44 on a Thursday. So,
I'm totally with you on that. So much so that when we have an unwritten rule here, me and my wife Sue, If one of us calls the other one, we usually start out by saying everything's fine, but and then you go into what you actually called about. Usually, the reason for the call instead of the text is you just need some piece of urgent information. Doesn't mean it's serious. You just need it now. Yeah, I mean it's text. It's basically, text for good news, call for bad news.
Yeah.
So that is probably at the top of the list. I mean, I went with the movie, but for real life stuff, that's at the top of the list.
So yeah, I got a little reel there, but it just jumped at me when I read this. I'm like, you know what? We're gonna do this because then maybe next time it'll be something different, something like what maybe you would be expecting from a segment like that. But definitely the phone call scares me to death. But the moment has arrived, ladies and gentlemen. The moment has arrived, and it's arrived for me as well because I've been waiting. I have been waiting for this since before we started the show because I have no idea what's about to happen. Now, this is the only segment not named after an egg. Why? Because we couldn't think of one. Okay. But down the rabbit hole, Matt,
Down the rabbit hole.
the time is upon us. Let's go. Do it.
So once we've explored this rabbit hole, you will be able to answer the question that we were all thinking. What is a geezer teaser? Well, let's find out. A few weeks ago, surfing the internet, and I went down the rabbit hole looking up Bruce Willis. Let's learn a little bit about Bruce Willis. I'm sure we all know who he is. Let's get a little history here. From Wikipedia. Walter Bruce Willis was born in West Germany. Did not know that. March 19th, 1955, making him currently 69 years old. Side note, shout out to my mother, who was born just a few days before him. So, Mom M, who is definitely not listening, but she's exactly the same age as Bruce Willis. He achieved TV success in the 80s on Moonlighting with Sybil Shepherd. In 1987, this is interesting, he won a Golden Globe for Best Actor in a TV series, comedy, or musical for portraying private detective David Addison. In the same year, he won an Emmy for Best Actor in a drama series for the same role, meaning he won one award for comedy and another for drama for the same role in the same year, which I did not know that, found that to be very interesting. Later on, he won another Emmy for guest acting in a comedy series when he was on Friends in 2000. Of course, Bruce is a movie star. In film, he starred in many successful and well-known features and franchises, probably best known for portraying John McClane in the Die Hard series, which includes Die Hard, Die Hard 2, Die Hard with a Vengeance, which has got to be my favorite of them. Later on, Live Free or Die Hard and A Good Day to Die Hard. I'm not even sure if I saw those. Let's name a few others. How about the Look Who's Talking movies? Death Becomes Her, Pulp Fiction, probably my favorite movie of all time, probably one of the most influential movies ever. How about 12 Monkeys? Very underrated. The Fifth Element, Armageddon, which might have been my dad's favorite movie. Would catch him crying to the sad parts. The Sixth Sense, Unbreakable, a couple other M. Night Shyamalan movies, Sin City movies, The Expendables, Red and Red 2, Looper, it goes on. And he got a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame in 2006. Which brings us to today's topic. I stumbled upon accidentally, like I said, I was looking through his IMDb page one day. So, after his prominence faded, Bruce appeared in approximately 26 direct-to-video films between 2019 and 2023. Here are some of those titles. Trauma Center, Survive the Night, Hard Kill, Out of Death, Survive the Game, Deadlock, Fortress, American Siege, A Day to Die, Vendetta, Assassin. You get the idea. So what is the deal with these movies? Again, from Wikipedia. In the final years of his career, Willis starred in many low-budget independent thrillers and science fiction films. Described by Chris Nashadaway of Esquire as a profitable safe harbor for older actors, similar to The Expendables, most of the films were released direct-to-video and were widely panned. Willis would often earn $2 million for 2 days' work. with an average of only 15 minutes of screen time per film. He was nonetheless featured heavily in the film's promotional materials, earning them the derogatory nickname Geezer Teasers. The Golden Raspberry Awards, an annual award for the year's worst films and performances, created a dedicated category, the worst Bruce Willis performance in a 2021 movie, for Willis's roles in 8 films released in that one year. Those working on these films with Willis said later on he appeared confused, did not understand why he was there, and had to be fed lines through an earpiece. Days before Willis was scheduled to arrive on set for Out of Death 2021, the screenwriter Bill Lawrence was instructed to reduce his role and abbreviate his dialogue, and the director Mike Burns was told to complete all of Willis's scenes in a single day of filming. We're almost at the end here. On March 30th, 2022, Willis's family announced that he was retiring because he had been diagnosed with aphasia, a disorder typically caused by damage to the area of the brain that controls language expression and comprehension. The Golden Raspberry Awards retracted its Willis category, deeming it inappropriate to give a Razzie to someone whose performance was affected by a medical condition. At the time of retirement, Willis had completed 11 films that were awaiting release. Then on February 16th, 2023, Willis's family announced that he had been diagnosed with frontotemporal dementia. According to Greg Day, a neurologist at the Mayo Clinic's Florida campus, the symptoms include difficulties with language and comprehension, misinterpretation of instructions. In a statement, the family said that Willis's condition had progressed and that challenges with communication are just one symptom of the disease. They expressed hope that media attention on Willis would raise awareness about the disease. All right, so that ends the Wikipedia read off there, but a sad situation, right? Personally, I love Bruce. I think he's had a wonderful career, and he's a beloved American action hero. I just happened to look him up and discover this crazy list of movies just from the past couple of years. That's what got me down this geezer teaser rabbit hole. And, my main takeaway was it makes me sad to think that he was just being trotted out there, not well, just to earn another cool like 50 million bucks before he was finally forced to retire without really knowing what was going on. So I thought we could somewhat honor the end of Bruce's storied career by watching one of these direct-to-video films, which we all did prior to recording. So I chose a movie called Cosmic Sin, which also starred Frank Grillo, who some people might know. He's currently on the Paramount Plus series Tulsa King with Sylvester Stallone. He was on Billions for its last couple seasons. And actually, this is just a shout out to the show called Kingdom he was on, which you might be able to find now on Netflix or Peacock. It was a 3-season run about an MMA gym, a family that ran an MMA gym. And I thought it was a fabulous series that I watched over COVID times. Anyways, the movie was directed by Edward Drake and also written by Drake and Corey Large, who also appeared in the movie. At the time I worked this up, it was available for free on Tubi. Does not appear to be anymore since we changed over months, but I'm sure it's out there somewhere. I chose this because it had a 2.5 rating on IMDb, which is, I think, the lowest rated project in Bruce's career. I guess I was curious just to see how bad things got. And the little write-up for the film is Cosmic Sin 2021, science fiction, 1 hour, 29 minutes. It is rated R. And the log line is, in a distant future, a retired general joins forces with top brass and a team of elite soldiers to thwart an imminent interstellar alien conflict. So there you have it. So I read all that stuff. We all know what the geezer teaser is now. And I made you guys watch this pretty bad movie. So before we talk about the movie, how do we feel about Bruce and, the end of his career here?
I feel bad. I mean, like you think about, you hear about Nicolas Cage, and he was in all these movies for a long period of time where he was basically paying off debt. They weren't good movies. He needed to pay
Uh-huh.
off debt. Um, Now not really a similar situation because Nick Cage, even though he's a little goofy, um, he's got all his capabilities. So the fact that Bruce doesn't even remember what he was doing in these movies, and they were using him really for this to
Yeah.
basically put a movie that had no chance of ever getting really many, I guess, if it's straight to video, straight to the stream views, more views just because of his name is.
Yeah.
I mean, they
How,
didn't know, so
no,
I can't.
that's the question. How much did they know?
Yeah. So that's where I would say about
Yeah.
that.
I'm glad you mentioned Nicolas Cage because when I was doing this research, he was one of the other actors that was cited as, not the dementia thing, but as being an established older actor that, would do a couple days work on an indie flick or, a low budget thing just to get a payday. John Travolta was also mentioned.
Hmm.
Actually, I think one of these movies is John Travolta and Bruce Willis in it together.
Great job by whoever produced that.
Yeah. Pulp Fiction too. No, I'm kidding. Brian, what do you think about all this?
As a Bruce Willis fan, it does break your heart to hear the struggles he's going through currently as well. Um, for me, it's also just weird seeing like all these just random movies with Bruce Willis. Like you would see them pop up at like your local Walmart or Target, and you're like, I didn't know he made that movie. I
Yeah.
didn't realize he was in this. It's the same, and Brad mentioned Nicholas Cage is the same. Of like, I didn't realize he made this movie. I didn't realize this movie came out. You want to keep in the spotlight, in that you have that glory, you want to keep it, but at some point too, you're just sitting there going, do you really need to do this? Like, there's a lot of those movies you look at and you go, does this need to happen? And that's kind of where we got with Bruce a little bit. And now obviously with his struggles now, it's different, but it was just weird and odd to see a lot of these movies.
Yeah. All right, let me give you guys a little summary of the movie, brief, very brief, and then you can fire away, ask your questions or whatever. General James Ford, an aging retired general with a complicated past, is called upon to advise on alien first contact. I gotta say, the visuals in the movie were not that bad. That honestly, that was the whole summary. Why don't you guys tell me what I wrote some my notes are commentary. So let me hear your commentary first, and then I'll throw mine in.
I'll go if you don't care,
Yeah,
Brian.
go ahead.
Go
Uh,
for it. Go
the
for it.
the beginning felt like the beginning of a Friday the 13th movie to me because they were
Uh,
making out and they got disrupted by aliens.
yep.
Yep.
I always have trouble though following hardcore sci-fi. I really do. I really want to, but there's always a lot of names and a lot of long words. Yeah, I struggle a little bit with what I'm really. I feel like I focus too much, and I probably should just take a step back. And it's simpler than it is. But Bruce Willis should have had some facial hair in this. I wish he had a little bit. He's older now. I mean, I have it. His ex in the movie is actually Frank the Tank's wife from Old
Old
School.
school.
Old
Yep,
school.
Yep.
Yep.
which I thought was really important to the
Yeah,
film.
it's Mrs. Ari, right?
Yeah.
From Entourage.
When the aliens kind of took over the bodies, they were zombie-ish to me.
So
Yep.
100% zombies.
100%. Yep.
Um, I love this line, and I'm trying not to use F-bombs in this. He's our effing warmonger was a great line in the movie. Cool gun. I mean, they're definitely a cool gun too. CJ Perry, who is Lana in wrestling, and is CJ Perry, she was Rusev's wife. I thought was pretty good in this, actually. I thought that she brought a little bit. I thought she
Did.
actually has some acting chops. I didn't think it was that bad. I don't think Bryant agrees with me.
You see her on TV and you hear what in wrestling she used a fake Russian accent, and I just saw her use her normal voice and it threw me off. I'll
Yeah.
just be honest, threw
Yeah.
me
That's
off.
true, right? She's not. Yeah, I gotcha. But I thought she did pretty good.
She did.
Taking the body of someone you love. Now that is interesting. So when you go into someone else's body, like I mean, obviously we're in fantasy world here, sci-fi world, and it's someone you know and you care about. That's a tough decision, even though it's not them, and that's what happens in this movie. I that always hits home with me. If someone jumps into one of your children, come on. I mean, what are we talking about? Your wife, come on. Are you able to end that life? No, no, you're probably not. So that happens in here. And then there's the good old self-sacrifice, that, it kind of remind me of Bruce Willis in Armageddon, when he has to
Mm-hmm.
sacrifice himself to save the world. And that was,
Spoiler alert.
but the final scene with the alien at the end got me when he goes, "Hey!" Man, great line. Hey, uh,
Yep.
but overall terrible movie. Uh, overall terrible movie, but I got through it. It only took 3 sittings, but I got through it.
But you did text us complaining.
Oh,
Why?
I didn't like it. I didn't. I didn't,
Mhm.
and yeah, I didn't understand why we were watching it. And now I do. And I've been waiting to find out why we watched this.
Yeah.
Because this is an 88 minutes is not a long movie, but it's 88 minutes I'm never going to get back.
Let's hear it, Bryant. What do you
I
got?
have I have so many questions, and I watched this movie and I immediately texted both of you and I said I have so many more questions about this because it answered literally zero. Let's start with the obvious question here of Brad mentioned it at the beginning. These two people are on this planet. They mentioned they're the only two people on the planet. Yet when they bring them back to Earth, there's a whole group of people that just
That
magically
was that
appeared.
was weird.
Where did all these other people come from? There's two people on a planet now. A whole ship full of people come back from the planet. What? What? Where did this happen?
Plot hole. Scene two, plot hole.
Like immediately, just what are we doing?
That's awesome. I didn't even think of it.
Yeah, 100%. Love that.
And then you have the spot where they mention that Bruce Willis' character Frank is discharged for dropping a Q bomb.
Yep.
What's the Q bomb? They never tell you.
No,
You
it's
don't
like an
know.
A-bomb. It's like a
We're
galactic A-bomb.
It's only
we're
70 million people, though.
we're guessing, and then at the same time, it's like yeah, you killed 70 million people. Where? What? Can you give me more details? No,
Yeah,
that's it. We're just gonna know that part. Great. Okay, I love it.
I
I
love this.
it answers nothing. The
Great.
movie answered nothing throughout the whole
Great.
thing. You know, they keep talking about they work for the Alliance and
Yeah.
things of that. What is the Alliance? Who knows?
I think they tried to explain that with the on-screen text at the beginning when they
No,
gave you the
yeah.
little history that makes no sense because
This,
none of it makes
yeah,
sense.
the super brief history of,
You need
you
the
know,
Cliff Notes to understand what's going on in the movie.
Yeah.
yeah.
The Cliff Notes explain it. I read the Cliff Notes, like the for those of you who don't know, like the Wikipedia page. Like I read it because I needed to know why this stuff was happening, and it told you more.
So I should have read Wikipedia, is what you're saying.
Yes,
Okay,
I had to
thank
read
you.
it after.
Didn't think about that. Didn't think about that part.
Brad's getting
But
hard.
like you also have the spot where I can't remember the other general's name. The guy, the main leader,
Frank Grillo.
Frank Grillo, thank you, is going to when they go on their mission and they go to the planet and he just magically disappears.
Yeah.
Nobody thinks to go look for him. Nobody thinks to be like, hey, what happened? He's just gone. And then he magically reappears in one spot towards the end of the movie. And he just magically finds a way to get communication. But the whole time they tried to communicate to him, it didn't work. What? What?
A
What are
lot
we
of
doing?
whats.
Like, it's just, there's no continuity. There's nothing that makes me understand it more. I just left with more questions. Like, there were a whole bunch of people on this planet already. Cool. When they get there? How'd they get there? That planet had two people on it, and now all of a sudden it's full of
Mhm.
all these all these people from Earth just magically inhabit this planet already now. What? I don't get it.
So good.
And I have vowed I'm gonna take all of Matt's movie recommendations with a grain of salt going
No,
forward.
he said it's not a
This
recommendation.
is
It's
not
an
a record.
assignment,
He
a
called it
homework
homework. He
assignment.
did
This
call it
was yeah.
homework. He did call
This
it
was a
homework.
homework assignment.
Yes.
All right. I've got a if you've got are you good? I
Oh
got
no, please go ahead, please.
yeah. Okay. So it was a terrible movie, of course. The writing was terrible. I actually thought that the visuals were pretty good. I've seen bad movies. I've seen bad looking movies. I've seen bad CGI. I thought the representation of the, alien planets and the costumes and the sets and the CGI, I thought it was okay. The acting was terrible. What's weird is that it's an uncomfortable mix of like decent, experienced actors like Frank Grillo mixed with like young, less talented actors, and it just seems completely out of place. Their conversations are like porn setup scenes, you know, like when the guy knocks on the door with the wrench, and
Yeah,
that's exactly what
forgot about that.
Yes.
I mean. That's what it's like. I did think CJ Perry was not bad. I mean, she's a good looking lady. That's why she's there. And she was carrying the biggest gun I've ever seen. And she brought the the sass to the second half of the movie. Um,
Yeah, it needed her.
yeah, it wasn't great. And just to go along with the whole geezer teaser explanation thing, Bruce's part was very limited. He did not have a lot of lines. If he did, it was like, he had that Bruce smirk a lot. I can't do it, but that smirk that he rocks. But he didn't say a lot. Now, somebody said a line to him at the beginning of the movie when they were rediscovering him, trying to get him uh, recruited back into this war. Somebody said to him, "Once upon a time, you were a big bad motherfucker." And I thought, wow, how fitting is that line with what we're
Right.
talking about here?
Yeah.
All right, let's wrap this segment up. Let's thank Bruce, the wonderful Bruce Willis, for his awesome career. Uh, feel terrible about the health problems. I hope the rest of his life can be comfortable. Hopefully, he's got a lot of money to make that happen for him. But let's ask this one final question about this movie and the 25 other movies that he did. How on earth are these movies making their money back? Uh, are people really renting this on their cable box or stream paying money to stream it? Is it a red box situation? The Walmart bargain bin, like we talked about? Even if you add all that up, if they really are paying Bruce 2 mil, let's say it's 1 mil, you still need a couple other million to pay everybody else produce the rest of the movie. This movie in particular had a lot of CGI and a lot of post. How are they making back millions? So much so that it's worth doing it 25 times. I,
They
I
have to be making money. They have to be.
have no answer for
I
that.
don't have an answer how, but they have to be able to do it.
There has to be some backing partner or something. But and like you mentioned, you do have the direct, the Walmart options, your streaming options. You're making a little bit there, but there's the other thing I look at too is a lot of these movies probably don't have big budgets. It's probably not that big budget blockbuster that he's usually doing. It's here's the $60 million franchise and here's your budget. It's $5 million. You know,
And don't forget, McDonald's had the Cosmic Sin series in their Happy Meals from 2021 March to April of 2021.
Forgot about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think my
If
son
anybody believes that, I got another one for you.
my son has 3 out of the 8 figurines.
Comes with a gun, CJ Perry gun.
there it is.
All right, Bruce.
Thank you, Bruce.
Thank you, Bruce.
All right. So this week, our eggs Benedict, but I'm going to thank Matt again before we move on for keeping us in the dark for about 3 weeks because we knew about this 3 weeks ago. This was an idea of Matt's 3 weeks ago. We had no idea what it was other than we had to watch this movie. So thank you, Matt. I'm glad that we all now know.
I hope everyone knows a little bit more about Bruce's situation, to be honest.
Yeah, absolutely appreciate it. And I'm glad you picked that one because who knows how good the other 25 were?
Yeah, that's true.
So this week's Eggs Benedict. Okay, Eggs Benedict again, heel turns. Now this one I am going to be doing today is a little different than it's going to be more of a face turn. However, was he ever really a heel? Who am I talking about? I'm talking about Ivan Drago. Now, who's Ivan Drago? Now, I think most of everybody here knows who Ivan Drago is. He is from Rocky IV. Ivan Drago, the Russian boxer. So he, of course, was always considered the ultimate heel, portrayed as the unstoppable force backed by the Russian country, and he had his wife, Ludmilla. I think I'm saying that right, because they didn't say it. You couldn't really understand him in the movie. At the time, and that this movie took place, and he was around during, the Cold War. And this was a very real thing for America in 1980. I believe this was 84 or 86. I can't remember, somewhere in there. And I remember as a kid, and again, it always comes back to how much older I am than you both. And we actually had nuclear bomb drills. So instead of a fire drill, we had nuclear bomb drills in our school where we curled up next to a locker with our face between our legs, our knees up to our face, because we really thought that the Soviets, the Russians, were going to bomb us. So this is why they created this, okay? This character. And he was a heel, or a very scary guy, a bad guy. He was challenged by Apollo Creed. Now, if you remember Apollo Creed, he was the champion before Rocky. Now, at first, he was unlikable, right? He was likable, but he was the bad guy. But he grew on all of us, right? We realized he was never a bad guy, and he helped Rocky win against Clubber Lang. And that's another story for another day. Apollo humiliates Ivan Drago when they do have their fight because Ivan Drago is waiting in the ring for him. And Apollo is putting on the show of a lifetime with James Brown, and he's basically just he's humiliating this Russian. He's humiliating Ivan Drago. It was just all the anger in his body had to just be building and building and building as this brash guy is just making a mockery of him and his country. So Drago, I mean, this is supposed to be an exhibition. I mean, what are you guys doing? It's an exhibition. However, it keeps going and going because Rocky doesn't throw in the towel, and the Russian Ivan Drago just dominates Apollo Creed to the point where it should have been stopped and it wasn't, and Apollo ends up dying in the ring. And again, Ivan Drago shows no remorse. Rocky challenges Ivan Drago to avenge his friend. They fight in they're set up to fight in Russia. We find out that Ivan Drago is on steroids. So now when they introduce Ivan Drago in Russia, he's the hero. Okay. The whole country is behind him in his corner. Rocky, though, wins over the crowd during the fight because of his determination and they end up cheering for him instead of Ivan Drago. When Ivan is confronted by the Russian Soviet official in his face, then there's a slight face turn because Drago picks up the Russian official and says he fights for him and not for his country, which was pretty brave. There is also respect shown for Rocky in this last round, saying, hey, let's do this till the end. And then Rocky becomes victorious and speaks to the crowd. And then, I can change, you can change, everybody can change. It's a great moment, really. I think it actually ended the Cold War. So,
A lot of people
but
think that.
but Drago, so many years go by, we don't know anything. And then we find Ivan Drago back again in the film series Creed 2, which is the spinoff of Rocky. Creed is the son, Adonis Creed is the son of the late Apollo Creed. So Drago shows up in the second movie and we find out he was banished from his country of Russia, and he now lives in Ukraine. And his wife Ludmilla left him, and he is raising their son Victor. He trains Victor to be a tremendous fighter. All right. So after his son they set up a fight because this is the story of a lifetime, right? The story of a lifetime is the son of Ivan Drago versus the son of uh, Apollo Creed. It's the story of a lifetime. So it gets set up, and Adonis Creed is dominated by Victor Drago. However, there was a technical. He hit him after the bell, and because of that, he was disqualified, which is kind of a weird part of the movie, but that's okay. So, but because of this domination and knowing now there's going to be a rematch, Ivan Drago they find favor with him again in the Russian community and his wife too. Now she's not getting back with him or anything like that, but she's welcomed herself. She's addressing them and talking to them again, and this really upsets Victor. Really upsets Victor because he says these are the people that turned their back on us, and now you want to talk to them. And again, this humanizes Ivan Drago. So during the second fight, it was a much closer contest, of course, and towards the end, Victor starts losing, and Lumilla actually walks out of the building, and to see Ivan Drago look at his ex-wife and she's leaving, and then to see that his son can't even defend himself anymore. What does he do? What does he do? He grabs the towel and he throws in the towel because his son and his family was more important to him than winning, than being dominant. And this is after seeing this, it's more about his family, and he is not that cold. Drago is a product of his environment. The fact that he was able to get past that, he was taught one way, and he still decided to do it a different way. The perception is that he is evil, but we're only evil. Everybody thinks they're on the right side of things. He was taught that Russia was the right way and the Americans were evil. So what did he ever really do wrong? He was never the heel in this story. He was always, I wouldn't say the face, but he was more than he was more than the product of his environment. He became better than what they wanted as a person. And that is the ultimate heel to face turn of Ivan Drago.
I love it. I think the Creed movies are fantastic. Storytelling wise, maybe even better than, the original Rocky story. Of course, you can't have Creed movies without. But I really enjoyed them. I mean, even the third one I thought was really good. But I remember feeling emotional about, um, adult, grown up Ivan Drago taking care of his son like you described. Really good stuff.
Yeah. I think the Brian, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No,
No?
I'm good. You go for it, Brent.
I think the real heels in the Rocky, I'm not going to get into the creeds, but the real heels in the Rocky movies were never Ivan Drago, were never Clubber Lang. I think that the real heels were Tommy Gunn and Ludmilla. But
Yep.
that is all I have for that. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. I really enjoyed talking about it. I'm such a huge Rocky fan and huge Creed fan. I didn't grow up in Philadelphia, but I'm here now, and I go down and I see that statue, once every few years. And I know it's a pretend it's a pretend boxer, but what Rocky represents is wonderful. He represents the underdog story, the American dream, and that you can do anything if you put your mind to it. So, it's something that I think everybody should watch once a year is some Rocky movie of some sort. So, I think that's going to do it for us for our main topic this week. So, I'm going to talk a little bit real quick about next week. Now, we actually mentioned this in our teaser episode, and we're going to go down the rabbit hole again. And this rabbit hole is going to be, what if Tom Brady, how the Tom Brady story, the tuck rule, and he won the big game, and then he became Tom Brady. What if, just what if it was ruled a fumble on the field? What would Tom Brady, what would the NFL, what would Bill Belichick, what would the world look like if Tom Brady fumbled and lost that game? That is what's going to be next week. I'm going to kick it over to Matt. You got something about our social promotions?
That's right. Three eggs are better than one. We're cooking up every Monday morning at 6:30 a.m. Eastern Time on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and everywhere else you get your podcasts. Find us on YouTube at Three Eggs Are Better Than One. The number three, the letter R, and the number one. Follow us on X and Blue Sky at Three Eggs Are Better. The number three and the letter R. And also we've got at Yes Man Brad, at B Haremza, and I am at Purple Shirt Guy without the I. Bryant, why don't you bring it home for us?
Well, we hope you guys have enjoyed this week. We've had a lot of fun talking about a lot of different topics here, covering a vast array of different things. We know that things are going on, and we know when it comes to cooking eggs, there's always a bunch of different ways we can cook, and it always goes to whichever you prefer. We've set the egg timer, and we'll see you guys next week.